I've never had mine speak, so I can't say anything about that. I just know what I've seen. Seems to be flesh and blood.
Have you ever experienced infrasound?
No, but that girl that I was talking about that got
Yeah.
zapped, that was her, and I saw the effects of it. And she was the smallest one in the group, and from what I've heard and so forth, that they'll target the smallest one in the group, and she's a female on top of that.
Kim,
But yeah,
next time we go camping, you're going to be in the front line.
Stop it. I'm in the back.
well, she was in the back and she got
Oh,
zapped. It doesn't matter. So
I'm going to be in the middle. I'm going to hang out in the middle.
yeah.
So were you with her when she got zapped?
Yeah, she's about 8 feet behind me. Well,
Okay.
actually in front of me. Actually in front of me.
Okay. So I have a
So
question. Did you feel any kind of energy? Because I've heard
no,
people that they can direct it at into one direction, but around that one direction, there's an energy outside that other people are feeling.
no, I didn't feel it. Now Rico had some girls, some women with him. And the women were kind of bunched up. If I remember correctly, one of them started feeling kind of bad, but not as bad as the woman I was dating. I mean, I think she got the full brunt of it.
The full of it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I told her we got to go this way. No, she's all disoriented, started getting
Mm-mm.
nauseous, dry heaving. She was in a mess.
Yeah.
I've had the experience of infrasound 3 different times. One time it hit me, and the other 2 times it hit people that were with me. In different times, different places. But the one that hit me, the very first thing we were in this area that had a lot of trails, and I know this area pretty well. I go out there sometimes. I haven't here lately, but I used to go out there quite a bit, and I knew these trails like the back of my hand. And I had a buddy of mine and his wife. I had found a bunch of tree structures up in there, and they wanted to see these tree structures. So I took them out on this trail, and we were walking down the trail. It was broad daylight, and we're walking along, and all of a sudden I hear this growl. It's real. Oh, it was a real short growl. It didn't last very long, but I immediately stopped and I turned around. They were behind me. I said, "Did y'all hear that growl?" And they said, "Yeah, we heard it." Well, when I turned back around to keep going down this trail, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what trail I was on. I didn't know what trail we should take to get back to camp. And the the guy that was there, he had a GPS, and he actually GPSed it where we were to where our campsite was, and we had to use his GPS to get us back to camp. But that was the weirdest thing I'd ever experienced, because I knew this area. So
Well, I mean, that's just like, the woman I'm talking about that I used to date. I mean, we were walking down one trail, and we just had to turn around and go back the other way. And I think they can pinpoint someone and direct it towards that person,
oh,
because she was no, we got to go this way. Everyone said we got to go this way. No, we got to go this way. So no, we got to go this way. And then she bent over, you know, her hands on her knees, dry heaving. Started getting hot flashes, and I don't feel good. What's going on?
mm-hmm.
And we were a mile and a quarter out there in the middle of the woods at 1 o'clock in the morning. So usually when we go out, we have no lights on, but everyone said light them up. We got to get out of here, because going in there, we were getting all those thermal hits. So we were just like, man, we got to get out of here. But I think they can direct it,
Yeah.
you know, and I think the older, this is just my thoughts. I think the older the Sasquatch is, that they have better control over it versus maybe a younger one that just learned how to use it.
I agree.
That's just me thinking. So I think an older one can pinpoint it better than it being kind of a broad, I guess, infrasound pulse or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Right.
You know, small ones that just learn how to do it.
And
And I could be wrong.
you know, the three times that I experienced it, twice we heard a small growl, and the other time there was no sound at all. But this guy, he fell to his knees. He was trying to pick up a great big log that was on a stick structure, and he wanted to see how big it was, see if he could pick it up. And he grabbed a hold of it and started to pick it up. When he did, man, he fell to the ground. And I turned around, looked at him. I said, "What's the matter with you?" And he said, "You know what's wrong with me." I said, "You got hit, didn't you?" And he goes, "Yep, I sure did." And he said, "My head feels like it's about to explode right now." And it took him probably a good 20 minutes before he actually was able to talk and get around. But there was no sound when it hit him. But the other two experiences that I had with infrasound, I heard a growl. And for some reason I came to the conclusion that maybe the ones when you actually hear a growl could be uh a small one that's learning to use that for some reason. And um that's why you hear the growls. Their vocal cords aren't completely, you know,
Mature.
mature. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, one thing about doing Bigfoot research, that once you think you got one question answered, 20 more show up. You know, it's just one of them things. I mean, I remember, I don't know if did I already say about when I took my daughter to cast those tracks? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. Well, Brandon had called me and he had found some tracks, and this is kind of by the woodlands, but not really by the woodlands. But it's kind of like a populated area. But there's a little wildlife refuge right there. There's a creek running down there, and he was back there doing some researching, and he found a trackway. So he said, "Hey, found some tracks, but I didn't have any cast material, and I got to go to work. So well, tell me where it's at." So we went out there, and I took my daughter out there, and I mixed everything up and let her cast those tracks. We came back the next day to get them, and man, she was happy about that. Happy about that. You know, that's the first Bigfoot tracks that she'd ever seen. And she's heard, you know, a bunch of the audio that I've got and seen pictures and all that, but that's the first that she ever saw. And then she was able to cast it.
How old is she?
She's 12 now. So I
Oh,
think she was 6 or 7 then. And then I took her to, I forget which Bigfoot conference I took her to. She got to meet everybody and stuff. I forget which one that was. It was either, yeah, hell, I can't even remember.
So Eric, you've done a lot of stuff down there at the Big Thicket, but you got a job that you do, and you go over to other states. And have you
Yes,
ever found,
sir.
have you ever found the same kind of stuff out in those areas as you see in the Big Thicket area?
Yeah, over over by Macomb, Mississippi, there's a place called Percy Quinn State Park, and it's in the Hobochitto Forest over there. And I haven't been over there. Well, I went over this year and put some recorders out because I was working about 30, 40 minutes from there. And but I used to go over there whenever, because I I work like certain areas like every year. So I was in South Louisiana, so I've been working, so I haven't been able to get back over here. But over there, man, I've gotten good vocals, tree structures, you know. And you know, I'm not into the glyphs. I don't know, you know, I don't know what to think about the glyphs, but I have seen stuff that, and that's kind of weird out here in the middle of this forest. But you know, tree bows, um, some X's, stuff that looks like it could be a blind sitting, you know, 10, 15 feet off a main game trail. You know, it's kind of like the same stuff that you see over in the sand because that's all piney woods with some oak thickets, hardwood thickets over here. It's just like an extenuation of East Texas, and then just keeps coming across this way. And the vocals, you know, screams, roars, whoops, same thing. I haven't heard the 800-pound owl on any of my recordings versus, you know, getting that over in the Sam frequently, let's just say. But
Right.
yeah, it's the same thing. But you know, that's just like over in the Big Woods part of the Sam Houston, which is between New Waverly and Cold Springs. The ones out there aren't very vocal. You know, early in the morning you may hear them, but they're not vocal like over by Stubblefield, Kelly's Pond, Cagle, and all that, or even over by the hunters camp south of Double Lake where we went,
Mm-hmm.
where you were there in the jets flying over. I mean, from that place over to Big Woods is probably maybe 12 miles away, maybe 15. But that part of the national forest, there's a lot of houses there.
Right.
Not actually the national forest, but back up to it. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but I know that I had a recorder out there one time Brandon and I put out, and that's when we were out there camping, and it got cold. You know how cold Texas can get, Chuck, right?
Oh,
So we were out in something just like that. And I put a recorder out, and we were fixing to leave, and the outing was over with, and I couldn't find it. I said, dude, this is the tree I put it on. We looked and looked, and it was hell, I think 50 yards away.
Hmm.
And it had the weirdest, like a knocking sound. Like, can y'all hear that?
no. Does it sound like a wood knock?
But it's not a wood knock. I don't know what and that went on forever on that thing. And a bunch of people listening, we had no idea what it was.
Hmm.
But what a wood knock. And this guy said, well, I think it's a woodpecker. I said, well, that woodpecker's bill must start because that thing went on for hours. But you know, a funny thing about on that trip, it was cold. And Waylon was out there, Brandon was out there, Big Dog was out there, and then I showed up. I think Stephen James and them showed up like when I was leaving. Um, but it was cold. So Bob and Travis brought out uh, their little camper so everyone could get in that to stay warm. Because I mean, it was getting like 5, 6 degrees at night. Like we were burning so much firewood during the day, and at night it was ridiculous, ridiculous. So it was Big Dog, Brandon, and Waylon. I forget who else was in the camper. I was just sleeping in my truck. But I said, hey, I'm gonna leave my toolbox open, my tailgate down, just to see if out of curiosity if they may want to come up and say, hey, what's in here? What's in here? Well, we went to sleep, and it was hell, I don't 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's cold. My windows are frozen over, and I'm awakened to my truck bouncing up and down, like something's pressing on my tailgate that's down. My truck's going up and down. And I said, oh man, I'm not opening the door looking at that. I don't even want to know what that is. But that woke me up. So the next morning when we got up, I mean, that went on for about 5 minutes and then just stopped. And then it never came back. And I went to sleep. And my truck was parked probably 20 yards, 25 yards away from where they had set the camper up.
Hmm.
Well, when we get up in the morning, they were talking about what happened to them. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Well, you know how a camper has them tow chains on it. You know, trailer has a tow chain, safety chains.
Right.
Well, something was up there messing with those and was rocking the front of the camper. And Waylon's dog was in there just growling, staring at the door, growling, staring at the door. And Big Dog got his gun and was ready for it to come to open the door. And Waylon's dog growling. So I was like, man, I told what happened to me. And they said, man. But the big woods, big woods is cool. You know, there's some areas that you got to be careful when you go out there, whether it's day or night. People have been zapped out there. Like I said, there's not a lot of vocals, but they will come to your camp. Definitely come to your camp out there.
Yeah.
And then I do some work in Sour Lake, Texas, which is they have a DeLance Rosser unit over there, which is part of the big thicket. And you know, there's sightings in there. And I always drive down this stretch of Highway 105 where I'm doing work out there about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And it's a 4-lane road, and then it goes to 2 lanes, and then goes back to 4 lanes, and then back to 2 lanes. So about a mile and a half before the Trinity River, there's a pipeline right away. And I've had 2 for sure road crossings right there.
Hmm.
And there's not a lot of people on that road. And I think I told you about the one, Chuck, where there's a guy in front of me and he had his high beams on, and then he just hit his brakes. So I saw something dart across.
Yeah.
It was kind of big. And then he slowed down, didn't stop, and then kept on going. I pulled up right away, and I like a big mag light. I pulled the window down and shine around, didn't see anything. But I know what I saw run in front of his truck because I was only about 20 feet in back of him. You know, we were kind of hooking it up, trying to get to where we're going because there's no one on that road at that time of the morning. And then another time is when the Trinity River's flooding and the river bottoms, you know, all flooded out. I saw one that ran right in front of me and went right to that same place, up the fence, and was gone. I mean, it's a perfect travel corridor for him.
Right.
It's as wide as the one down in the Sam Houston that we walked on where you saw the ones with the night vision that night. It's that wide. And the road goes from a 4-lane to a 2-lane about a half a mile before that. And then it's 2-lane all the way into Moss Hill.
I think you're right. It's probably a travel area that they go through.
Yeah.
Were both of your sightings at night, or was day and night, or
4:30? I on the road crossing was 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then, you know, I've seen them on my thermal, and I've seen them on my night vision. And I've seen a tree peeker during the day. Well, it was late afternoon.
Yeah.
Just peeking his head around, going back, peeking his head around, going back. And then all of a sudden there was nothing. I was walking towards the tree like he vanished. No noise going off or anything. But I know what I saw, peeking his head out, looking at you. And let me tell you, they're ugly.
Are they? I was going to ask. If you'd seen
Ain't
one.
nothing pretty. Even that baby, even that young one that's in the tree is ugly. That we got the picture of.
Yep.
Yeah. Only a face a mom could love.
Yeah.
Are they more ape-like, the ones that you've seen?
I would say so.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, my personal thought is I think they're just never evolved. I mean, they have a language for sure. I just, you know, I think different ones may have evolved more than other ones, and that's why their appearance is different. And but the ones I've seen look apish, but they also look humanish. You know,
Yeah.
I like to have one about 10 feet away from me, and check it out without it like doing something crazy. But
Yeah.
I think there's a
I
lot
think
of people that would like to experience something like that.
yeah, but what you want and what you get may be two different things,
Yeah.
depending on the temperament.
Yeah.
And, and I'm sure they're just go ahead.
Have you had a scary encounter?
Just that bluff charge that we had over there in East Texas,
Yeah.
that was scary,
Yeah.
you know, and we the guy had a 9 millimeter, and I think I had a 40 cal, and that wouldn't have done anything but kind of tick them off. But I think they're just doing that to get you to leave, because
Yeah.
trust me, if they wanted you, they wouldn't
Exactly.
bluff charge. They would just
Yeah.
Yeah.
come in and snatch you up, break
Yep.
your neck, and haul you off, and time to feed the family.
Yeah.
I think, them throwing sticks, throwing logs, throwing rocks, bluff charging, screaming, roaring at you. I think, if they're doing all that stuff close to you, that's because they're telling you, hey, time for you to hit the bricks, brother.
Yeah.
You're too close. Whether they just don't want you that close, they got little ones, you really
That's
never
what I
know.
was wondering, if it was more so that they've got the kids around.
Well, I mean, that could be because, I'm pretty sure at night that they're taking the young ones, teaching them how to hunt and teach them the skills they need to survive. And
Hmm.
and then you and your buddies show up looking for them, and they got the youngsters there, especially if a young one is separated from, let's say, mom or dad, or let's say not full adults, but adolescent ones,
Yeah.
then, you know, they're going to try to distract you. And very rarely is there one. There always seems to be more than one. And generally one will make noise to get you to look the other way so the others can move on.
Yeah.
They're smart.
Yeah.
They're smart. They're the master of their environment for sure.
I would also think that generally they're going to try to avoid you. So, at those instances of the bluff charge, there has to be something circumstantial that's making them have to come at you
Well,
instead of
yeah, I
trying to
mean,
go around.
whether well, I think it's either because there's juveniles there or young
Mm.
ones or just a territory thing. You know,
Yeah.
we could have walked in there and missed markers, just didn't see it. And well, now you passed the spot you're not supposed to, and in their eyes, they should think, well, if they see these markers, then they should know they can't come here. Well, we don't know if we don't see them.
Right.
Yeah, they're not putting up stop signs for us.
No, sir. No, sir. And, I mean, I'd have a bad attitude too, living in Texas with all the ticks, the chiggers, the briars, the snakes. I mean, everything's got thorns or will bite you. And, you're wearing that fur coat, and, during summertime, it's hot, hot, hot. But I'm a firm believer that in the hot months, that they try to take shelter down by the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like in Sam Houston, they got the San Jacinto River that flows, and it goes into Lake Conroe, and that comes in all that little area by Stubblefield. And there's areas of the Sam Houston that's very swampy out there
Yeah.
because it's just hot, and you're wearing a fur coat. You got all the stuff biting you, ticks, chiggers.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd be a little grumpy, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm grumpy wearing FRs out here in this heat, and I ain't got nothing biting me. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things, man. But You know, there's like people, there's good ones and bad ones. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
Because if they were all bad, there'd be a hell of a lot more people missing that go walking on the Lone Star Trail. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
A lot more people. Probably anywhere. You know, I mean, they're not scared to be close to civilization. All they need is some woods, a pathway, a creek, river, man. Subdivision stuff are easy pickings. You know, if they're out in the country, those little subdivisions or little ranchettes, that's easy pickings for them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if they have chickens, if they have rabbits,
Trash
cats,
cans.
dogs. Oh yeah, easy pickings.
Yeah.
Do y'all have
And
a
it's
lot
great.
of sightings inside like city limits or close to towns, or is it mostly just out in the Sam Houston?
Sam Houston, when they were building the woodlands, when they were building that, there were a lot of sightings out there. And I know some friends of mine just bought some properties called Texas Grand Ranch. It's up in New Waverly. And these people bought a bunch, this developer bought a bunch of land and they sell it in like one, I think, 10-acre plots out there. And they've been out there for a while. I don't know, 6, 8 months maybe now. And his wife says, man, I sit out in the Sam Houston National Forest. It's like right there. And I hear some terrifying stuff out there at night.
Mm,
Yep.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I would love to give them some recorders just to set out there, just to record at night. But yeah, she said
mm.
it's scary.
What
But
other cryptids are there reports of coming out of Sam Houston?
I don't know what that three-toed thing was that Javier saw. I don't know anything about that, but you know, there are some reports of Dogman sightings there, which I've never seen one of them. And Dogman, there's a lot of reports of that in Central Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure about, on the big thicket side over there north of Beaumont. I know it's usually Bigfoot, but I figure if Bigfoot's there, why if Dogman's in the area, why wouldn't it be there as well?
Right.
And it's and people say, well, how can there be a Dogman? Well, how can there be a Bigfoot? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen that. So I don't know why there couldn't be that. And who knows if the government has a breeding program, and breeds these things and cuts them loose.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
We will never know.
if you go back through the history of civilization, there's always been something like a dog man.
Yeah.
And a Bigfoot.
And the
Yep.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. There's some map of Antarctica from a long time ago that has those animals on it. Like an old ancient map, I heard. But
So
I've
Eric,
never seen it. Yeah.
all in all, what do you think these things are? I mean,
Well,
I kind of lean toward the apish type thing, but you hear people talk about the Nephilim and that kind of stuff, and I just there's too many ape-like phenomenon with these things. I think.
right. Well, at first I thought it was an ape. Then I went, well, maybe it's some type of hybrid. But then you hear the encounters and the stories and people that research that depending on what the squatch looks like is going to depend on if it's more apish or if it's kind of more human Native American-ish. So it's really hard to say. But I mean, hell, humans are apes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
To a degree. So I can see, I don't think it's Gigantopithecus. I can tell you that. I just think that they're a people that just never evolve like the humans did, and that over the years they've got enough sense to stay the hell away from us. That's what I think.
That's a good synopsis.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have a language. They care for their kids, from all the research and stuff that I've read and heard. So, and they have a language, and they build shelters. I don't know if they use tools or not. That I don't
Yeah.
know.
I've
But
heard of them using tools, that they have used tools.
I mean,
Whether it be just, whether it's to pick ants out of, I don't know. I mean, but they have.
yeah. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
monkeys in Africa use sticks, like you said, to get ants,
Hmm.
or knock something out of a tree or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I I don't think they'll run through the woods with a spear, but I guarantee
Right.
you they don't have a problem picking up a club and killing a hog or a deer, or you if you get in the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the thing is, I think that they limit their exposure to humans because they see what humans are capable of doing,
Yep.
especially if they have a gun.
Yeah.
And they definitely know what a gun is, for sure.
Yeah.
They know
Yeah.
exactly what a gun is. So I think they limit their exposure, and you know, I think if you go out to the same area for a long period of time, like I used to out in the sand, they will like know your truck, the sound of your truck, and know what you look like.
Yeah.
They know you.
Yeah, as long as they're in the area, because they just don't stay in one area. They're always traveling. And the one area I used to go to all the time is like every 4 days they would be there. It seemed like it was every 4 days, and you could go there, not in that span, not a lick of anything. It's because they're chasing the game,
Yeah.
Hmm.
chasing the game, and there's so many
Follow the lead.
hogs there.
So you
But
don't think they
yeah,
migrate?
I think that they migrate following the food sources,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that definitely when hunting season is going on in the parts of the national forest where you can hunt, that they're definitely out of there.
They retreat. Yeah.
To maybe right on the edge, in case someone shoots a deer, it runs off, they got a quick meal. Because I remember shooting a deer, this is way before I even thought about Bigfoot, and I tracked that thing and tracked that thing and laid down as a pool of blood, got up and ran some more, lay down. It's a big pool of blood and no more blood. That thing was gone. And I don't know I mean, it's like it just vanished. But that was long, way before I even was into Bigfoot or even thought that a Bigfoot would do that, let alone that there were Bigfoot in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the Patty film growing up, watched the Leonard Nimoy In Search Of, and all
Mhm.
that. But that's all the Pacific Northwest.
Never thought
But
they would be here.
yeah, in
Never.
Oklahoma. Yeah, but I'm telling you, Oklahoma and Texas, they got the square a good bit of them.
Yeah.
And I hunt out in Junction, Texas, which is out in the hill country, and hell, they got reports of them out there.
Hmm.
But out there, I mean, there's so much water out there. I got the Atlanta River there, and there's caves, and there's the abundance of wildlife out there. I mean, and it'd be nothing to feed a family out there.
Yeah.
They
Food
wouldn't
and
have to work
shelter,
hard.
man.
Yeah,
Food and
and water.
shelter.
Yeah,
And water.
I mean, they wouldn't have to work hard to keep their bellies full out there.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Well, Kim, you got any more questions?
I don't. I was going to ask you if you had ever had a missing deer, but you kind of came upon that on your own.
Yep, sure enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just a doe. I mean, I think I would have been more pissed if it would have been a nice buck, but still, that's meat is meat.
Yeah. And it's missing.
Yeah, like it just vanished.
Yeah.
And then, there's just stuff that happened when I was out in the woods growing up, that, well, that's odd. That's odd. But then once you get in this, researching this, then all these light bulbs start going off. Well, that's what that was. That's what this
Right.
was.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Well, I hope you can get that audio to upload.
I'm gonna try. I really do want to
Yeah.
have that on there.
Yeah.
and
And then,
if we can get that audio up, we'll post it.
Yeah.
all right, cool. I want to give a shout out to the guys at STBI, Gabe, Paul, Jason, Javier. They're good guys.
Yeah, they are.
And then Shane with Taps. Those guys are good. They're animals in the field. They'll go out for 2 weeks, a month, and they get some really good stuff. They found some good trackways and cast them. Good audio.
Is there
Good.
any way that we can follow them and let people know where they're at?
Yeah. STBI is South Texas Bigfoot Investigations. They're on Facebook, but you got to send a
Okay.
request. And then Taps is TAAPS on. Just put Taps Bigfoot, it'll come up, and you got to get on there. But they got good stuff. And then Brandon, the wild man. I mean, he knows his way all around out there. He's a good guy to go out with. And there's a bunch of other ones. Joe, Ernie,
Yep.
uh, DL, Big Dog, Walter. I mean, there's just a list of guys that are out there putting in the work that, if you don't know someone that knows them, you never know about it. And they have some amazing stories, amazing encounters.
Yeah.
You tell those guys I said hello.
I sure will. Well, hey, I enjoyed doing the show. And if anything interesting comes up, man, I'll let y'all know.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
All right.
Bye,
appreciate
Eric. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Y'all have a
Thank
good
you,
evening.
brother.
You
No
too.
problem, my friend.
All right.
Bye-bye.